Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all keeping well and having a great start to your week. And welcome back to the business-focused podcast that is Revitalise Meets, where I, Lee Foster of Revitalise Connecting People, get the opportunity to meet fellow business connections from a local and global business networking reach. Now, as always, we delve into questions to ask our guests a bit about their business, a bit about their background, and really sharing some top tips, some hints, some ideas, some insights about their business and how they can help you who are listening and watching us right now. Now, we go out live on LinkedIn Live, and we're actually on the Revitalise Networking YouTube channel as well. So without further ado, can I welcome along my guest for this week? I've got the great pleasure to welcome along a gentleman who's been helping many people, really focusing on their mindset, taking them out of phobias, focusing on their life and business journeys, really giving them that helping hand to be the ears, the eyes, and listening to who they are and what they're going through, and giving them real, tactical, strategical opportunities to really build their lives and build their businesses. Can you please welcome a long-term business relation and connection of mine, the one and only Mr. Willie Nicol of Willie Nicol Coaching. Willie, how are you?
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Lee. Yes, I'm very well, thanks.
See, super. We eventually got the tech working, so we're all fine now, everybody. So we're all good with that side of it. Brilliant. Willie, I've known you for a long time now. I think we've known each other since, 6 years plus?
That'll be about that, yes.
Really long time. Can we start, first of all, for everybody's watching us on the social channels, can you give us an overall view of your business and where you are at present, if you don't mind?
Of course, I for those who don't know me, I used to be a police officer. On retirement, I went into corporate security. I was made redundant. And through a process of, I guess, serendipity, I fell into coaching, personal development, mindset change, and so on. But that was just before I met you, Lee, when I go through the redundancy process, which was quite a trial, shall we say. And my lovely wife suggested I look at becoming a coach, which initially I have to say I was very reluctant to do, because having been a police detective, I was very logical and analytical and empirical, and even the word ending in L, cynical. And I didn't believe in coaching and therapy and all that kind of malarkey, as I called it. However, I was persuaded during my redundancy process to go on a coaching introduction course. And I discovered to my surprise that I quite enjoyed it and realised that there may be an opportunity for me here. So that set the seed. And when I was made redundant, some nearly 7 years ago, I decided to set up a coaching business.
Absolutely superb. It's been a great journey for you, because I remember the early days. You got up on stage in the early days of the Fenwick Hotel and the early parts of what I did when I first launched as well. And it was great to see where your journey has taken you through. But through that time, though, you've had some challenges in your business. But also you've had some great successes as well, though.
Very much so. Despite having 31 years experience as a police officer, primarily as a detective, and then nearly 7 years in corporate security at a fairly senior level, I didn't really know a lot about business. I knew a lot about people, but not much about business. So that was a challenge, absolutely. So I had to learn quite quickly. And then about a year after setting my business up, COVID struck. And as you probably know, my nickname is the Techno Dinosaur. So it became even more challenging. But with the help of a good friend of ours, Mr. Logan, the IT geek, he helped me get online and sort out all the techie stuff. So it was a quick learning curve. And I've been basically learning ever since, because as my dear old dad used to say, it's a poor day when you don't learn something, son. So every day is a school day, as the old saying goes.
I think what's interesting, though, is that time you've had, the biggest challenge, I think, was embracing the sort of virtual world, but also for them, especially from your background, from the forces and the police force, etc. It's how you've done those transferable skills, Willie. So what was that like? So you talk about, you've not come from a business background, you came from that sort of tactile sort of teaching area, being in that force and working with people, understanding people really to a deep core. How did you transfer that into your business?
Well, I found after a period of time, to my pleasant surprise, that a lot of, as you mentioned, transferable skills I'd learned as a police officer and also in the corporate security realm were actually transferable into a coaching environment.
Okay.
So, for example, I would say I'm not a business coach, I'm a people coach. I don't know all that much about business, but I know a lot about people. So if the people in your business aren't performing well, that's where I can help. Not with balance sheets or profit and loss accounts. I can help you sort out any people problems. And that applies in a business sense and also in a personal sense. Um, I have developed over time a narrowed approach rather than trying to help everybody with everything to be more specific. And I now focus my coaching on stressed out men because it's something I know something about, having been one on multiple occasions in a previous life, as it were. And I know what it's like to be stressed out as a police officer, businessman, whatever, or just as a man. And we men are terrible at admitting that. So the challenge, one of the challenges is say, what's going on with you? What's happening in your life? And if it's not going the way you want it, what can we do to address that?
Do you know, we talk about that. It's hard to be a closed door and not to be able to talk about things openly as such. And I think we talked about this a few months ago, if you remember, Willie. It's about the era that we came from. You didn't really talk about it as much now, much about it then. But I think from your perspective is having great active listening skills, but just really tapping in and letting people talk through where they're going through. And I guess that's one of the biggest skills you've got.
Well, having taken this from my police experience, it's knowing when to talk, when not to talk. It's knowing what questions to ask
Yeah.
and how to listen effectively and identify what's going on with the person in front of you. Um, Sometimes it's not what's immediately apparent. Sometimes either by accident or design are concealing something. And my police spider sense, if you like, does come into great effect on these occasions. But it's listening is a very important thing. There's the old adage, we have 2 ears and only one mouth. So positive listening skills or active listening skills are absolutely essential.
Yeah.
And it's identifying what's holding the other person back. One of my very first clients, as I've told you this before, that I managed to get through my Revitalise connections,
Yeah.
was going through a bad time and asked him what he wanted. And he said, I want my life back, Willie. I want my life back. And I thought, wow, that is something else. And we discussed what that meant. He had been feeling a bit down, or as they say in the west of Scotland, he was clinically scunnered, right? And he just wasn't at it. Yeah. And I said to him, this is a Glasgow man, and I worked in Glasgow a lot. I said, you've lost your mojo, big man. And he said, you know what, that's exactly right. That's how I feel. I've just lost my get up and go, my motivation. I will call it mojo. And we then decided or agreed that we'd both go on a journey to find his mojo. And we did. And he got his life back. And by spooky coincidence, on Monday, he sent me a message. And this was because I'd liked a post he put up on the Sunday after he'd finished the Glasgow Half Marathon. And we keep in touch through Facebook. And out of the blue on the Monday morning, he said, thanks for liking my post about the marathon. I just thought I'd give you a little update. And I've actually posted this on LinkedIn. And he said, since we worked together, which is over 4 years ago, before COVID, I've been promoted twice. And I helped him through his first promotion because he wasn't very happy about that. I've been promoted twice and I now manage 100 staff. Wow. And I manage managers. And I would never have done that before you and I had our chats. And my confidence is off the scale because I remember what we spoke about. I just tell myself, I can do this. I'm on it. Take a deep breath and off I go. And that made my daily getting that message from him. I messaged him back saying that's very good, because he did all that himself
Mm.
with a little bit of prompting from me, because my philosophy is that the answers to whatever's holding you back are actually inside you, and we just have to tease them out. You might not know they're there, or you might know they're there but are ignoring them, but they are there. So by a process, and I have a program and several methodologies where we identify what the problems are,
Mm.
and then identify what the solutions are, then implement the solutions. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it. It's not as simple as me snapping my fingers and Bob's your uncle. But if anyone's willing to commit to that process and do the work involved in that process, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Such a good point. I mean, you mentioned there as well, I think what's so important about that is that that was face to face. And it was sort of like the way you've been a holding hand all the way through, but just listening to where he is right now and then giving him that guidance to put the work in himself to literally breach through those areas and to break through. And the question I've got for you next, Willie, and thank you for sharing that. It's a great success to hear where that came from and still contacting that person now, 6 years later as well. I talk to everybody who comes along as my guest about adapting their business environment. And you talked before about being a tech dinosaur, right? I disagree personally because you've got a lot better over the last few years, Willie, right? You've made it online with us today, and there's a lot of buttons to click to get onto this one, by the way, but you did it, right? But when lockdown kicked in, we had to all adapt to an online business. Where does that play a part? I mean, we're now online talking away. Does that play a part now, having that physical one-to-one conversation? Can you still adapt it to your business to have that virtual talk as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I started off doing one-to-one, face-to-face, and without getting too woo-woo, if you like, there's a kind of energy exchange when you're face-to-face.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get feelings and you get an energy, or you get the vibe, if you like, right? Which is obviously a lot more difficult when you're online. Albeit, I can still sense when I'm talking to someone online. I can sense kind of where they're at, and it doesn't matter whether you're maybe 30 miles away from me as the crow flies, or they're in Canada, or on an online call this morning was a lady from Australia.
Wow.
Very nice lady. I was on this call. So you can adapt that way. And I got to the point where I had to overcome my discomfort or fear of the tech, right? And see, embrace it, as you say. And being a man of a certain age, tech doesn't come easily to me. But now that I have embraced it, and I can more or less handle anything, the results are still very, very effective. And what the upside, of course, is that you can now talk to anybody anywhere. Yeah. And you can talk to groups of people anywhere. They don't all have to be in one geographical location, which makes um, reach and connection that much wider. So the initial trepidation when COVID came, oh my goodness, no more face to face, was overcome by looking at the positives, the benefits. So you and I can do this in the comfort of our homes and chat to the lovely people out there, and that's one of the benefits. So what can initially seem as insurmountable or a challenge or an obstacle can be got round, got over, got through, whatever, once you put your mind to it.
It's true. I think it's what you said earlier about that, though, is there's a different energy that you feel from individuals when you meet them on a face-to-face. You can feel where they are, you can understand what they're going through, etc. Online, you could probably still get that, and I agree with you. You can still get that energy because you're hearing what they're talking about. You're listening to their words and the sounds that they're using from that as well. And I think, I mean, hats off to you for embracing, as you call yourself, that tech-wise. You've done damn well in regard to getting that done as well. So well done on that, Willie. Thank you. We always go down the world of top tips from your industry or your sector or from your business, etc. For everybody who's watching and listening today on LinkedIn and on the YouTube channel, Revitalise Networking, what would you share with them as your top 3 golden nuggets of advice or top 3 tips to them today? either from your industry or from your business, what would that be today, Willie?
I would say not necessarily in any order of importance. One of them is definitely authenticity.
Mm.
Be yourself, be authentic, do what you say you're going to do. People can spot a phony a mile away. So if you're trying to be circuitous or be superficial, that's not going to help you either personally or professionally. So authenticity, the know, like, and trust thing, is a big part of success in business as in life. Another thing I would say is self-reflection and self-awareness. So self-reflection is thinking about, where am I at, what am I doing, is it working, whatever, and that leads you to self-awareness, where you become aware of things you're doing well, things you're not doing well, things you might have to change. You might have to think about, well, is this methodology helping me move forward? And if it's not, why is it not? And what do I need to do to change that? So I do a lot about mindset change and thinking, emotions, etc., etc. So self-reflection and self-awareness, just take a step back and say, is this working or is it not working? And if not, what do I need to change?
Love that.
And I'm going to refer to my notes here.
Of course you can.
Right. The last thing I'd kind of noted down during a previous conversation was only work with people who are going to compliment you. I don't mean compliment as in praise you, compliment as in be in the same wavelength, do have the same values, if you like, do what they say they're going to do. Because if you're putting all the effort in and they're not, whatever it is they're trying to achieve is probably not going to succeed. So that client I talked about there who just done the half marathon, one of the first things I said to him was, are you fully committed to this process? And he said, yeah, I want my life back. I said, great. If you're 100% committed, I'm 100% committed, let's go for it. And we did. And this before COVID, he was travelling 40 odd miles to come and see me of a Monday evening. I've had clients come from Edinburgh because they want to see me face to face. But that's a lot easier now when we can do it online. But that, work with people that you know are going to reciprocate your effort, because there's nothing more frustrating than you're, dare I say it in Scottish, knocking your pan in and they're not bothering.
I
So
love
that's
these Scottish words, by the way. I love these
that's
Scottish
the
words.
authenticity, self-reflection, self-awareness, and work with people you're going to enjoy working with. Okay, there may be occasions where that's not 100% possible, but as far as possible, work with people, I guess, you like, or who are going to complement what you do.
Yeah. I think you've touched on some great areas there as well. And look, the authentic and be genuine and be you is so important, Willie. People forget about that so much. Wear your heart on the sleeve. People buy from you. People want to invest their time into you as an individual. The second part of it, the self-reflection, is something I spoke to a lot of people about over the last few weeks, really. Some people really don't take that time out to self-reflect and actually be aware of their environment that they're working in or living in. And this is also from a personal perspective and a business perspective. There's two separate self-reflections there. Would you agree with that?
I do agree, and I think the two can be connected. So
Mm.
there is a big fancy word called the metacognition.
That's a big fancy word for me,
Big
by the
fancy
way,
word,
Willie. That's great. I'm
metacognition,
not going to pronounce that at all.
which
Oh, thank you.
essentially means thinking about your thinking, right?
Mm.
It's about reflecting on the way you currently think. And we don't do that. We don't step back, as I've said previously, and say, is what I'm doing working?
Yeah.
You could put that into, is the way I think just now
Mm.
helping me or not? So the self-reflection is back to basics. Is this whatever it is working for me or not? If it's not working, why is it not working? And what do I need to change to
Mm.
make it work? So
Mm-hmm.
it's as simple as change your thinking to think in a way that's going to benefit you more.
Yeah, I love that, and I think we don't do it enough. Personally, we don't do enough of that. And I like the way that's in both. I'm not going to try and pronounce that word, by the way. Don't even try to get me to go down that road at all. But the last part of it is, I love that as well. That third part is understanding who is in your connecting circle, who's in your business circle. complementary people who can help and resource and support you. And I think that is so powerful in business. You know, a lot of people don't actually, they build up these connections around, they build their net worth around them, but they don't actually look at actually who's their inner circle, who's their 10 people that are around them that are complementary to you. I think that's such an important part, Willie.
Very much so. I was thinking more in terms, but that's correct. Work with people as in clients that you're going
Yes.
to enjoy working with.
Yeah.
But by the same token, what is it to say? You're the sum of the 5 people closest to you,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So this may sound very harsh and brutal. If someone's holding you back, right, consider deeply whether you still want to be their pal or their business associate or their connection or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't get on with them or they're negative constantly, we could talk about negative energy or negative talk. If they're dragging you down, right, consider that do you still want to be in their orbit, as it were.
That's a good point.
But you know the people that you get on with, right? It's a pleasure to meet again when you shake each other's hand, give each other a hug or whatever it happens to be. Like the lovely Jennifer, who from Bait Box,
Yeah.
thanks Jen, who gave us all a token for a bait box when she was doing her signature, spotlight at Glasgow last week.
Mm.
And my stepdaughter's the recipient of this bait box. And I'm hoping that she saves some for me. But it's a great pleasure to meet Jennifer and all the rest of the guys and gals in
Yeah.
Revitalise, because I find, and this is not meant to be patronising, I find that if they're not in that kind of wavelength, they're not in that kind of mindset, they don't last long.
No.
So the people who are there are the genuine people who want to connect, help others, support others, and by extrapolation, expand their business. So it's a win-win all round. So that's back to I don't know, integrate with people who are going to support you, build you up, and by the reciprocity, as it's called, is another big word, is you'll do the same for them.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody does you a good turn, you kind of feel obliged to do them a good turn back.
Correct.
So, for example, on Thursday when I do my member spotlight at the Revitalise local Ayrshire, there's a young lady who I've not persuaded, suggested would come along because number one, she doesn't like networking because she's quite shy, and I'm going to do a bit of work with her on that. But by the same token, she's a photographer, and I need a new headshot for my LinkedIn profile. So we've come to a sort of barter arrangement. We were out for coffee Friday, I think. And well, if you do this for me, I'll do that for you. How does that sound? Absolutely perfect. No
Great.
money. I'll do that for you. You do this for me. And when you get that arrangement, it's very, very useful. Yes, we do need to go out and earn the crust, right? But having that facility through networking, I'm helping her. And I believe I've made an introduction between her and the lovely Greg Field.
Brilliant.
We're going to have a chat. So that gave me a kind of warm, fuzzy feeling that I've done a bit of good for the young lady. And she's going to do something for me, which is going to save me a couple of quid. So it's a win-win.
Win-win. Well done, Willie. Well done. And it's great to see the power of, looking at that as well and seeing who's around you at the same time as well, for clients and for business also. Now, we talked a lot about you helping lots of other people, right? And helping them. How do you take time out for your self-reflection? What do you do on a weekly basis, daily basis, to give you time to self-reflect or to do personal and business development? How do you take time out for that for you?
I don't always succeed, but I try very hard to take time out. So, for example, as you know, I live very close to the ocean, so I can go down to the beach and walk along the beach, or the promenade, as they call it.
Yeah.
I'm also very close to a lovely big wood. So, walking in nature, getting a bit of fresh air. I do watch a lot of YouTube videos by other coaches. For example, the mighty Tony Robbins, who is just a superstar. He comes up with some blinding stuff. And I also like to look at the science behind coaching, about neuroscience and the physical things that happen to us in our bodies, if you like. Read books. I do enjoy the odd beer down at the local pub, but that general reflection with others. But it's even if you can manage 5 minutes, right? sit down, close your eyes. People talk about meditation and mindfulness. We won't go into that because that would take too long. But just take a bit of time for yourself. There's a phrase that I quite like, but can be misconstrued, right? And it's self-care is not selfish. Yeah. Looking after yourself, it's not looking after number one as in number one. It's looking after yourself in order to enable you to look after other people.
Yeah.
It's a wee bit like the analogy when you're on a plane and the oxygen mask comes down, you don't muck about other people. You put yours on first so that you can then help others. Because who knows, if you don't put yours on first, you might not be in a position to help others. So self-care is not selfish. It is kind of your duty, as it were. Now, I'm a man of a certain age. I'm probably a bit overweight. I'm unfit. My bad. Right? But I do try and look after myself. And I would urge others to do the same because it's not a bad thing. There's no that that's very selfish of you. Well, I would say, well, I'm looking after myself, so you can suck it up, cupcake. Right? So that's just the way it is. And then once I've looked at, I will then come and very happily help you and look after you. So that's another little bit of advice, which can be a bit counterintuitive. People say, "Oh, he's a selfish so-and-so." Well, another thing that comes to mind while I'm on my rant is develop the ability to say no.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because if you're a helpful person, which I like to think I am, you can end up helping other people to the detriment of yourself and your business. There are times when it's politely, of course, say, "No, I'm sorry, I can't do that." Or, "No, I'm busy, but I can recommend somebody else, probably Revitalise." Right? So the ability to look after yourself and the ability to say no in a polite manner. If you don't do that already, learn how to do it.
Yeah. It's good points there. I love that as well. And it's nice to hear that. It's always nice to hear when people say about that, saying no. It's so easy for us to say yes these days. But the powerful part is that you have to balance out what you can do and what you can't do. Or you overstretch yourself because we normally again say yes to many things and just overstretch it completely. But some good points there as well. And I love the part of the self-reflection and how you're investing into yourself to self-improvement, because that's the biggest part. You're investing into yourself. And I think a lot of people invest themselves in the wrong ways and they find out later part of either in their journey, their personal or business lives. But just I like the work of just closing your eyes for 5 minutes and just breathing, switching off, turn off all the technology around if you want to. Sit in the back garden and just listen to the birds and just literally switch off for 5 minutes. I think it's so powerful. Don't try and walk about with your eyes closed. It's a different story altogether.
Well, unless you've got a very big back garden.
Definitely. What's the next steps for you? Willie, you've been on a heck of a journey over the past sort of 6 years plus. What does the next 6 months look like for you? We're coming, I can't believe I'm saying this, 3 months from the end of the year, right? What does the next 6 months look like for you? And what's next around the corner for Willie Nicol and Willie Nicol Coaching?
Well, I've invested in a marketing guru or expert who's a very nice chap, excuse me, who's suggesting a number of things I could do. And again, this will be a wee bit out of my comfort zone. So we're looking at doing webinars, which will be online groups. Yeah. And also in-person groups where I'll be talking in a more general terms about coaching and self-care and mental well-being and so on and so forth. He also wants me to do videos when I tell him I've got a face for radio. So just to say, to put my message out there. So there will be a degree of discomfort from me, right? But I remember being given a great piece of advice in a business leadership group, which when I was talking about tech and things like that, and a friend of ours, you know, George Clark, who was in that group,
No,
very knowledgeable man, said, "So you're uncomfortable with that, Willie?" I said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, here's a tip. Learn to become comfortable with things you're uncomfortable with." Think about that. Become comfortable with your discomfort. And it sounds, oh my goodness, how do we do that? Ladies and gentlemen, it can be done because I've done it. So once you've overcome that discomfort, things that make you uncomfortable no longer make you uncomfortable. And you become comfortable at doing whatever it is that hitherto made you a bit itchy scratchy. So it's something to think about. Become comfortable with what makes you uncomfortable.
Some good
And I
points
can
there.
help you with that.
That's some good points, Willie. I like that. I like the way you've got that sort of, and also what I like about what we've just mentioned there is you're challenging yourself for areas outside your comfort zone, which again is really, really impressive because a lot of people don't try and push the envelope and look outside the box and think, right, okay, I can give that a go. If I give that a go, that open up another opportunity for me. So well done on that side of it. I always ask all my guests, and anybody who's watching and listening today, by the way, I just want to give a shout out. Thanks very much to everybody who's watching and listening to us on LinkedIn and also on the YouTube channel for Revitalise Network. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any questions, you're on LinkedIn, please feel free to drop them in the comment boxes because we do see those at times in our chat feed as well. If you've got any questions for Willie at the end of this, just drop it in there now before we start wrapping up today's sort of meeting and interview as well. With everybody I speak to, Willie, who's a great business introduction for you? You know, who's a great lead? And if someone's watching today and going, I really want to give this person over to Willie, is it the right person? Yes or no? Who's a good business introduction for you?
Well, I was talking to another young lady, another networking event, one of the only other ones I go to, bar Revitalise. And she says, I have a friend, a male friend, who is not doing too well, but he's very reluctant to admit it. So I offered to have a chat with the gentleman, and he's not playing, as it were, right? So what I'm looking to be introduced to, or who I'm looking to be introduced to, are men who are scunnered, who are stressed, overwhelmed, as a result of which they feel a bit stuck or lost or whatever. Or to use the common variety, they're a bit meh, they're not at it, they've lost their mojo. I would like to talk to these men, but only those who are prepared to open up and be honest about it and committed to changing it. Because, as I said earlier, if that commitment's not there, either it won't work or it won't work as effectively as it should do. So if you know anyone who might be reluctant to talk about, you can talk to me. As you can tell, I can talk for Scotland. Um, I am quite, and for an ex-copper, I'm quite empathetic. I will listen. I will do my absolute utmost to help people with any things. I don't like using the word problems. Any things that are bothering them in life. And it could be stress, anxiety, lack of motivation, loss of confidence. I had one young man who was having difficulty getting a girlfriend because he was tongue tied when he met young ladies, members of the opposite sex. And it was actually his father who recommended me to him. And we talked about talking, and we talked about interpersonal skills and confidence and overcoming fear and all that sort of stuff, right? But he was willing to accept that he had a problem and he wasn't going to get a bird unless he sorted it. So we did that, and I believe he has a girlfriend now. So anything's possible, and even something as trivial as that, up to and including, you know, bad thoughts, poor mental well-being.
Yeah.
There is always, always a way out. People will say, no, I can't see a way out. There is always a solution. Because I believe, as I said before, solutions are inside us. We just need to kind of winkle them out.
True. And it's asking the right questions and being understanding and listening that actually brings it all out in the fold, on the table, and you can address it and take care of it as well. Thank you, Will. It's some good points on that one for us. So if you've got anybody who's going through those sort of areas themselves at present, if you feel that you want to introduce them to Willie, you can find Willie on LinkedIn, or you can send an email to Willie as well to contact and have that conversation. No harm in talking, just organise a discovery call with Willie. Now, if you check out the YouTube channel and also the LinkedIn post, the video feed that's going out there right now, I'm going to drop in to there a couple of links for you to engage with from Willie. One's a free download of Break the Cycle worksheet, transform your stresses into strengths. And there's going to be a link dropped in there for you later on this evening or tomorrow. And also, as I've just mentioned there, it's good to talk. So if you want to book a call in with Willie, click on, I can't believe he's got this, by the way. I'm really pleased. He's got a calendar link, everybody. Round of applause. So you've got a calendar link, which I'll drop into the comment box as well. And you can engage into a 30-minute call with Willie. And you never know where that conversation will take you to really address where you are at the minute, or just to have that conversation and help each other out, most importantly. So if you're okay with that, Willie, I'll drop those into the comment boxes later on after this meeting. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely, by all means. And it's a complimentary chat. It's just a chat, right? And we'll see what's what. If I can help, I'll say so. If I can't help, I will also say so, because I'm a big believer in 100% transparency and honesty.
Yeah.
But if I can't help, I will find somebody who may be better suited. So it's a win-win for whoever wants to chat. And we might even have a laugh, because I do enjoy a bit of humour if it's relevant and things are not too serious, because we can take life seriously.
Yeah.
We can get a bit down in the dumps. We can get a wee bit, under pressure. Right? It's an old saying: laughter's the best medicine. So yourself. You did the stand-up, Lee, and I take my hat off to you, because that would be way, way out of my comfort zone. I couldn't have to you. But laughing, like a lot of other things, and there's science behind it, because laughing stimulates endorphins and other chemicals that make you feel good. So have a chat, please.
Love it. Thank you. Willie, thank you so much for joining me today as a guest. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Great to see where you're going to, and just thank you for your company for the past 6 years. It's been absolutely outstanding as always. We always have a good laugh.
It's been my pleasure, and the very fact that I'm still with you, as it were,
I know.
is a testament to yourself and the club in general, and all the wonderful people that are in it. I have had a great time, some lovely, supportive people, and it's the old saying: it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know.
Correct. Or who knows what you know, Willie. So
Very much so.
as well. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody who's watched us and listening to us today on the YouTube channel for Revitalise Network. And like I mentioned before, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share the channel, because we've got many more interviews coming up on Revitalise Meets. We'll start to get things moving again over the next coming months up till the end of the year and onwards. There's over 150 interviews, like with Willie and many others that are on there from various different backgrounds and industries that can maybe even share some top tips and some hints to help you out. And don't forget to keep an eye out on the LinkedIn profile as well. You can follow myself on LinkedIn, or you can join us on the Revitalise Networking company page on there. Click the link and follow the pages to be kept up to date on what's coming up, when and where, online and in person, as always. Thank you from me. Thank you from Willie for joining us today. And remember, everybody, have a great week this week. But the most important thing, start the conversation, listen to each other, and you never know what opportunities are around the corner in the conversations that you are about to have. Thanks again, everybody. Take care. See you all soon. Bye-bye for now.